So I think that has a tendency to happen. You always end up in some mess. Like, because of the fact that you're toxic, you're going to be attracting toxic things to you. And so then you'll continually have the results that, Marcus was talking about. And then at that point, I think that it does. So you may not necessarily know exactly where it's coming from, but you know it's a problem. And you probably need to figure out how to fix it because the alarm bells are going off.
So, using those same examples from both you and Denise, how do you know if you don't believe that your behavior is toxic? How do you identify that toxic behavior, or that you need a tool, i.e., a friend, a companion, or your results to show you that you are, in fact, toxic? Like, you don't know to go look for the tool. You think that you are good. And most people surround themselves with people of like mind, as we just stated. You will surround yourself with toxic people who will gaslight you, and not intentionally, but, oh girl, you good. Oh dude, you everything was straight. Like, it wasn't your fault. So how do you know that your behavior is in fact toxic?
The results.
Yes. Like, if you're not getting the results that you are looking to achieve, there is toxicity in there. That doesn't mean that you are completely toxic. There's just a level of toxicity that's getting in the way of things, right? You can be a good person and have toxic traits or have toxic habits. Like, and sometimes it doesn't even have to be proactive. Because sometimes when we think about toxic, we think about we think about like people doing things to other people. Sometimes just allowing people to do things to you is the toxic behavior. But because that's portrayed as a good person, we don't identify it as toxic immediately, right? And so toxic can sometimes just be passive.
I think I understand a little bit. So it seems like what you're saying, just because you don't know something is toxic, doesn't make it toxic. Like, if you're in a lead house with lead paint in your house, right? You don't understand that you are in a toxic house, right? You disturb that lead paint, it's toxic. It's poisonous to you, right? I understand that. I think we can agree. We can agree on that. I think I think the last thing that you said, like at the beginning, that um what did you say? How did you say it? You said something that is based upon your results. I don't agree with that. And the only reason why I don't agree with that, because there's a lot of women out here saying that are good women, that are waiting patiently and trying to do things the right way, that are looking at the other women getting the results that they're trying to get, and they're doing things in this toxic way. And these people that we're seeing in these toxic relationships, they're getting the things, some of the things that some of the good women want, and that the results that they're looking for, even though they're doing things and they're doing the non-toxic things. So I think, just to simply say your results speaks for themselves, you know, I think that that's not fully going to work for the toxic conversation.
Part of this, what we have to also take into consideration, most people aren't self-aware enough. they they literally don't see anything wrong with their behavior, no matter what results they get. It's A lot of people think it's someone else's fault. It is never their fault. Walk naked in the mall, get arrested. Why ain't people minding their own business? Ma'am, what what are we talking about? But people are really not self-aware. The people we're talking about, especially that live in this toxicity, that that love it, are typically not self-aware enough to identify that they're in a toxic situation, and they are the ones that are helping create this environment. So I just think that's something that we have to keep in mind when we talk about the ignorance piece of this toxicity.
So to the part about the results. So your results not having the positive results. So if a good woman doesn't get a man, that's not an indication in itself that she would be a bad woman because the results don't garner her the man. I would say a better indication would be if you're constantly in toxic relationships. That would be the result of that. If that make more sense to you, HD. Smooth operator, you there?
I agree with that. You're right. If you keep making the same decisions over and over again, then it has something to do with you. So what will happen if there are more people who are toxic to date than people who are good people?
There's a solution for that.
Shut up, Marcus. Oh my gosh. Not everybody who wants to do, not every good man wants to be in a
That's
poly
toxic.
relationship. Not every good man wants to be in a poly relationship. And not every poly man is a good mate.
Right, but you set yourself up for that question because you pretty much asked what happens when there's a market imbalance. I mean, somebody hoards the resource or the resource spoils.
Right,
That's
but
just how
Marcus,
that works.
all we can do
That's your
is,
solution for everything, Marcus. Like,
but
what happens when you break your leg? There's a solution for that.
It is because you can't go to work, so you need more people to help work. All right.
listen. The problem is at this very moment, the law does now allow it. Okay. So we got to go with what we can deal with right now. So with that being said, that's not a real solution at this point until that law is changed. Okay.
We wanted freedom at one point too, because slavery didn't allow us to be free. I'm just
You
saying,
gotta
just because the
listen.
law exists, don't mean that
Don't talk
we
about
shouldn't
it.
aspire.
Well, I agree. The law doesn't exist yet, but a lot of times the 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 laws always lag behind the behavior. And so even though there's no law, there are people that are already in committed polygamous relationships. The law may catch up at some point. But I mean, I actually agree with Marcus. If somebody is interested in that lifestyle, that is one solution.
But the only issue with that, and I'm not talking, and I'm pretty sure Marcus is well versed in this area, so he may move around a little different. The only problem with that is there again, it's just a committed relationship. It is not marriage. There's no legality to it. Marriage is only marriage.